Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of In the Zone. I'm Giancarlo Aulino, and as always, co-hosting here, Anthony Pagniello, Chris Martelli. Episode 135 today, and we got to kick it off with one of the biggest comebacks of an underdog in NBA playoff, in recent memory in the NBA playoffs. We got Atlanta doing what they did. It looked like they were done. Looked like Philly were going to cruise and then seal it, but Atlanta come back and now they're up 3-2 over the 76ers. Man, Trae Young was awesome in this game. All the threes he was getting, all the clutch shots. Start off with you, Chris. What did you think about what you saw? And if you're a Philly fan, what do you do now?
I was gonna say for the longest time, uh, I said it right before we went live, but Atlanta for the longest time has been looked at as an afterthought since they came first that year. I think that was 2014. A lot of they haven't really been an appealing team to go to, and then they draft this guy named Trae Young. 2018, it looked like kind of like a risky pick at the time, an undersized guard. He led all of college in assists, 3-point percentage. I think that was the first time in a long time. So we knew what he could do offensively. But the thing with Trae Young was you need to build a team around him, and it's looking like it's not too shabby in Atlanta. And I think it was me and Pagniello said that they would be a playoff team this year. Adding guys like Bogdanovich, a couple other guys too. But John Collins to me has improved tremendously. I thought at the beginning of the year, he was not as good as a lot of people thought. But even Clint Capella, this is a guy where he's a monster. If Joel Embiid is not going, Clint Capella can dominate you defensively, then that spells trouble because we all know how terrible offensively Ben Simmons is. So he's averaging like 13, 8, and 8, which it looks great, but you need more than 13 points a game to win, and especially after blowing a 20-point lead and then a 26-point lead. If I'm a Philly fan, you got to just I don't know, like there's not a lot of positives here, but if there is a positive, I guess this is showing that they're just not good enough. And you have to maybe break up Simmons and Embiid finally. It's been 2 years that we've been hearing the rumors. Embiid, I think, is playing with a terrible knee injury, and he's still putting up probably the best points out of all of them. Tobias Harris, game 5, 4 points. Other than that, he's been pretty damn solid for them. But in this game, you have to put up more than 4 points when you're on a max deal. So that's definitely going to look people are going to look at that as a problem. But I just got to give Atlanta credit, man. They shoot a lot. They're aggressive. They're offensive minded, whereas Philly, they have a lot of offensive potential, but defensively is where they're a lot stronger. Ben Simmons has shown that he can be a freakish defender and at times a dominant offensive player when everything's going his way and the ball is in his hands. But if you're going to put up Draymond Green type offensive numbers and at times be inconsistent defensively in clutch games, that is when Philly loses. So the game plan for Philly is to just stay calm, stay collected. You've been in first all year. Just keep doing what you've been doing. Give Joel Embiid the ball. Maybe even give Seth Curry a little more touches. I know he's a great 3-point shooter. We know guys like Bogdanovich, guys like Trae Young, those guys, they're lights out from 3. So if you want to garner a little more momentum and the offense is dry, maybe run it at a different guy. Maybe a Maxey. I know they're not playing him as much, but maybe just try something different if guys like Embiid and Simmons aren't going offensively. So I got to give all the roses, though, to Atlanta. They're proving a lot of people wrong, especially Trae Young.
If I'm a Philly fan, yeah, I'm pretty pissed off right now, but there's really not much they can change. There's not much they can do. There's just 2 games left in this series. So throw the ball to Embiid. They got to get more out of Simmons, like you said. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Tobias Harris because he's been consistent all year, and then like a couple of playoff games, he's just invisible when they need him the most. But Alino's boy, Seth Curry over there, putting up 36 points in a game 5. Man, Dallas really could have used that this year. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm more surprised with them blowing those leads or everything that Trae did throughout the game. It was a fucking wild game. I still think Philly's going to win the series against my better judgment. Yeah, it's a toss-up now, but like Yeah, Chris, you covered it pretty well. I think Gallinari too. Like he was pretty ass throughout most of the year, and then he's been. Yeah, come on. Like I had him in fantasy most of the year, like, not a whole lot, but he was dealing with injury issues, and then he's back in the lineup. He's been putting up some good numbers, and a motivated Lou Williams coming over. So Atlanta's rolling. They just need one more. So yeah, that was a fun game to watch.
Aulino, what about, you know what's hilarious too? Didn't Atlanta have Rondo? Like, imagine if they just kept Rondo in this situation. Oh man. That
Man,
would
just
have
imagine Vince Carter, what he's thinking. He fucking made all these guys players. He worked with them, made them all pros, and developed good habits. And as soon as he retires, they go on this run. I'd be pissed off.
I mean, he knew the potential that Trey had. It's just you don't really know when they're going to break out. I'm not even going to say this is Trey's breakout. I mean, it is, but I mean, if I still think his potential is, going to the finals and even maybe winning a ring. He reminds me of he's a poor man's Curry, if you think about it. But right now, at the age that he's doing it at, I don't think Curry was doing it this consistently at the age he's at. So Trey's offensive ability is really scary. We see the playmaking time and time again. Even his rebounding, I've noticed he's a little more aggressive in the paint than he was the last couple of years. He's using these last couple of years to his advantage. His IQ, it's gotten better every year. I think it was game 5. He had 18 assists. So the playmaking's there. The scoring is there. Like you said, Lou Will is a lot more motivated. A guy like Clint Capella, who's been sniffing the conference finals for years. He's got that experience. He just wants to get over the hump. So he's definitely motivated. Taking on a guy like Embiid every single night, that's going to drive guys like Collins, Capella, even a guy like you said, Pagniello and Gallinari. So if Gallinari could drop you like 25 points in game 6, the series might be done.
Oh, even Seth Curry. He's another one.
Oh man. Assuming they lose though, Philly, like would it be time to blow it up? I think we started with that kind of.
Yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean that's when I'm a Sixers fan, and it's kind of like you look at it in like the most negative way as, okay, we lost again. We're never going to get there. We're Leaf fans. We feel that pain. Or you look at it as, okay, brighter days are ahead. You blow it up and maybe we have a brighter future here. All I'm going to say is it can't get any worse than the 2015 Sixers when they barely won 10 games. So they've seen the worst of it, the Sixers. This is where I kind of feel for them. Like they've been really, when they were bad, they were like historically one of the worst teams. Them and the Charlotte Bobcats in like 2008 or whatever year that was. But yeah, if I'm Philly, man, it might be time to finally, even though you got Doc Rivers, it might be time to blow it up.
Yeah, it also depends too who they gonna. Like you can't trade Embiid just because of the season he had. He was like an MVP. In the mixer to be an MVP. And then Simmons, like, yeah, you can trade him, but maybe they move him to power forward. I think Tobias Harris would be the odd man out. Like, what do you do with that salary? You need another point guard. Like, Seth Curry's good, but I'd rather have him be a shooter. He's been a huge surprise. He's not making that much. Raptors, that's another guy coming in from the Raptors 905 system. So I think, like, you probably just need a point guard that is good at facilitating the ball. I don't think you can afford a Westbrook. That's impossible. But if you get a playmaker who's ball dominant, that's the only thing that I think can help this team. But other than that, pretty much screwed if you have to trade Embiid. Like the backlash the GM would get, it's crazy.
I feel like I would still stick with those two, though. I think, like you said, Tobias Harris would be the odd man out. Because even though he's the third best player there, like is he not making the most money or close to it? So even if you move him out of the situation, you could still do a lot with that lineup. So it would be so fucking disappointing if they lost in the second round. But as young as those two are, I think I would move on from Tobias Harris and keep playing with the lineup. But that's like really far-fetching though.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at it from the perspective of management too. You've had Simmons and Embiid already for like it already seems like it's been like almost a decade. It's been what, like 6 years now. So they've been doing their thing for relatively a while. Guys, I'm serious. This is almost as identical as Marner Matthews. It's Marner Matthews, Embiid, Simmons. You just go to the playoffs on like regular season, unreal, top 3 seed every year, and then bam, you go in the playoffs and it's like, what the hell is going on? What happens here? But I do agree with you guys with Harris. They somehow got rid of Horford's contract. They had to give up, I think, a couple firsts for that. So my biggest question is, what the hell? I know Ben Simmons' trade value will always be high because of his elite defensive game. But if you're a manager out there, like, I know there's a market for Ben Simmons for sure. But in terms of a guy like Harris, I don't really know which team would go out there and pay that salary. I really don't know. So in that case, it might have to be a buyout option if they get rid of Harris, as crazy as that sounds, man, because his contract is just, it's not attractive at all.
Are there any teams out there that you think could swing a deal?
Like, the only team I think of are teams that are so far out of it, like Detroit, like Houston, like those teams that are just going to give a shot at a 3, at a guy that has a big contract. Maybe, I want to say maybe OKC, maybe, because they're in a completely different, they're revamping their whole organization. So, but other than that, Pagniello, I don't like, would the Spurs take a shot at him if DeRozan walks? Like, I really don't know.
Cleveland?
Oh, probably not. They just drafted Okoro, like 4th overall, so probably not.
If the Spurs are still delusional and they think they can squeeze into the playoffs, I think they could take on a guy like Harris. I don't know. It's a tough deal. Yeah, it's tough to move.
Or Memphis for JV, and then you got JV and Embiid. Embiid can be the power forward. Simmons on the soft. I don't know if he'd be a perimeter guy, but like you put him the small forward or point guard, and Seth Curry shooting. Have everyone else just run to the basket. Bunch of monsters.
My biggest problem with Philly is they need to realize who the most valuable. Well, it is Embiid. The most valuable player is Embiid on the team, but they have to start looking at what they can do to improve the overall morale, the chemistry, the team. Because I love Danny Green, I love all these guys, but I just feel like in the big scheme of things, there's something wrong in the dressing room there. I feel like maybe Ben Simmons is too vocal. Maybe I don't know, because, man, like, we've been saying this for years now with Philly. This is not the first year. This is not even the second year. This has been happening since, I want to say, 2017. So it's either make up or shut up. And right now it's looking like you have to blow it out, because if I'm a Philly fan, like you said, probably don't have a lot of faith.
Well, yeah, that's a interesting one. But speaking of having no faith, it didn't seem like LA fans really had that much faith in Paul George based on past playoff experiences. And what does he do? There it is. Flex on all of them. Carried them to a win. Now they're up 3-2 against Utah. Game decision now. It's put up or shut up, like you mentioned, but it's for Utah. They're in tough. They were looked at as a favorite when Kawhi went out, and now Paul George has them close to a conference final against Phoenix. Do you think the Clippers close it out, Pagniello, or do you see Utah squeaking in there, getting a win, and going Game 7?
I want to see the Clippers close it out 6 games. Paul George will be a very big reason why. That's my prediction for that game. But, man, he's been pretty consistent throughout the playoffs, and he put up a big one, 30. He almost put up 40 points, and I don't know how he had 16 rebounds. But, yeah, he led the way in the game where Kawhi went out. So that's fucking huge. That's the biggest game of Paul George's career so far, as far as I'm concerned. So for the Jazz, yeah, man, Mitchell's got to do what he's been doing. He's got to come up big, and then the rest of the supporting cast has got to chip in like they've been doing as well. So it's going to be a banger, but I think Paul George is going to do it again. He's going to help him close it out in 6 games.
I just want to say, if you're going to win a Defensive Player of the Year and you have a guy like Paul George get 16 rebounds, that's a problem right there. So Rudy Gobert's got to be a little bit better He got out-rebounded by Paul George in game 5. That cannot happen. He still put up 17-10, but like you guys said, it's all about Donovan Mitchell. If this guy does not come, they're not winning. I love guys like Ingles. He's put up unreal performances. Jordan Clarkson has been consistent all year. It sucks that a guy like Mike Conley is not in because we all know that he's a great veteran. He wants to get that opportunity to get to the promised land. But Paul George, man, he's proven it. He's proven all the people wrong. 2 years ago, he was third in MVP voting, one of the better players in the league, 28-7-4 on OKC. And now look at what he's doing. Last playoffs, I know it was hard. Pandemic P, whatever you want to call him. He had all the nicknames. This year, he's averaging about 26, 8, and 5. So you cannot call him a playoff bust. You can't say that. This year, he's got the braids looking like Kawhi's twin here. He's just balling out. I love it for Paul George. I love it for the Clippers, too. These two franchises have not really been so lucky over the years with LeBron in the league. So now they're finally getting their moments here. They got to go up against Phoenix in the conference finals. I'm going to say Utah forces 7, but I think the Clippers are going to hold on and go to the conference.
I think Clippers close it out. I think Paul George needs that. I think this is going to be the huge test for him. But if you go forward now, it's Phoenix without Chris Paul and let's say Clippers without Kawhi. Who do you think has a better opportunity there? Paul George in that system with the Clippers or Devin Booker with the Phoenix system?
Oh, Chris, start that one.
I'm giving the edge, as crazy as it sounds, it's to Phoenix. I think what they've been able to do in this playoffs, it just shows that the team chemistry, it's there. Their potential is finally coming together. And like I said at the beginning of the year, with teams like Chicago and all those other teams where they have those guys that have a lot of potential, they're not there. They're not even close to it. But it's looking like it's finally come around with Phoenix. I remember last year when they were 8-0 in the bubble, I was just kind of like, yeah, they got Ayton, the first overall pick. They got Booker, who he's a top 5 scorer in the league. And then, of course, you add a Chris Paul. So is it really too far-fetched to see them go really far? I mean, majority of the people said yes because, of course, you have LeBron and Kawhi and you know, guys like Curry coming back and Lillard. And all. The West is just a nightmare. So when you look at that in terms of that perspective, of course, you're not going to believe that Phoenix is going to go through. But after what I saw, man, when they swept Denver, like this is a different monster. This is not the same Phoenix from last year. This is not even the same Devin Booker from last year. This is a different Devin Booker. This is a guy that's motivated. He's evolved his game. You could see the footwork. It's beautiful to watch. I got Devin Booker. I think he's a little bit better than Paul George right now. I'll give the edge as well to like the guys like Mikal Bridges. Cam Johnson's been really good. Saric, another guy. But I love Phoenix's team. I'm kind of biased towards them, and I think they're going to go to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, assuming those two guys don't return, I like Phoenix's chances as well. I think that would be a 7-game series. That would be fun. Like it's really Booker versus Paul George at that point, and then Ayton would be the X factor. I don't know if the Clippers really have an answer for a player like that. And yeah, their wing players have just been amazing. But in a conference final with Rajon Rondo, I think that would be a pretty solid time for him to step up. So, man, I love that question. That would be a phenomenal series, but I think I'd give that to Phoenix in 7.
It's going to be a tough one. Well, speaking of 7, Milwaukee is back in it. It looked a little shaky, but Giannis answered the critics, and we got a Game 7. James Harden, Kevin Durant. They've been here before, back in OKC, and now they're in the same situation. They know what it's like. And Giannis has all the pressure on him with that big deal, not living up to expectations, even going back to when they played the Raptors and got bounced. Who do you think needs to win this series more? Would you go Giannis, or do you think Kevin Durant?
Start at Pagniello.
For me, I think Giannis, just because the Bucks have gone pretty much second round or conference finals every year. Giannis has been the focal point, him and Middleton, and they're always the favorites every year in the East. Like, I know what Brooklyn's made of this year, but to go this far with them, like, I know I have Brooklyn winning, but just from Milwaukee's perspective, I think Giannis needs it much more. Because if they don't win with this group of guys they have now, they're going to be in a similar situation that Philly is in the coming years. So I got Brooklyn in 7, but Giannis might need him more in Milwaukee.
I got Bucks in 7, and I think it's going to affect KD more here than Giannis, or not KD, but Brooklyn. Just looking at what they've done, you ship out all the assets in the world. Like, they've done a complete 180. You get rid of Allen, you get rid of LeVert. I thought for the longest time they would get rid of Dinwiddie. They never did. But, you get Harden, Kyrie, unfortunately, going down with that terrible, oh my God, if you guys did not see that injury looked pretty scary. So I'm praying for I'm praying for Kyrie Irving to get better. But, Harden being back and what I saw from him last night, it's not the same James Harden. He put up like 16 points. He's still looking a little slow. But if he can improve the slightest for Game 7, I'd probably give the edge to Brooklyn. But what we saw from KD in Game 5, like, come on, man. You can't, like, that does not happen. 49-10, or no, what was it? 49-19-10, some stat like that. That's just, you don't see that happen. That's one of the greatest performances we've ever seen. If Kevin Durant could put up about 35 points, I got Brooklyn winning it. But, man, I think this is finally the time where Giannis shuts all the critics up. The analysts are going to have a field day if Brooklyn loses, and I think that's just best for business. So I got Bucks in 7. I got Giannis going to the finals. Can you, like, I need to say this. Bucks and Suns, it just sounds so funny.
But I need Kawhi to come back.
It just sounds so funny. But this, you guys know this league is getting younger. The guys are getting better at a younger age. Devin Booker, well deserving. And come on, guys, like, we need to see Chris Paul get a ring. Let's go. I'm rooting for Chris Paul, and I'm rooting for Giannis. Like, as I know I'm a rap fan, but like Giannis, he's deserving of it. Back-to-back MVP, 26 years old. I think the time is now for Giannis. Like you said, Pagniello, if he doesn't necessarily win this year, it's make up or shut up at that point. It's already his 7th, 8th year in the league, so it's getting to that point for him too. But regardless, man, these Final Four, it's been super exciting and super unpredictable this year. So I've just loved the NBA playoffs all in all, besides the injuries, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. That was it's gonna be solid. Like, these Final Four matchups, the series are a lot closer than I think anybody would have expected. But some just off the court news. One big trade that happened: Kemba Walker from Boston. He's going on to OKC. So, well, first start off with Chris. Like, if you're Kemba Walker, you go from Charlotte, you put up all that hard work all those years, you get rewarded, you sign and trade to the Celtics, and the first thing they do when stuff doesn't go their way is trade you to another rebuilding team. So how pissed are you if you're Kemba Walker, and what does OKC do from here?
I don't know if it's him being upset. I just feel like it's the best thing that probably could have happened for both sides. I mean, I don't know what it is with Boston. I don't know if there's some sort of game plan that doesn't work towards the point guard. I mean, it did when Thomas was there, but like, since Kyrie Irving has gone to Boston, I just feel like they can't have a grasp on that point guard position. And I don't know what it is. Kemba Walker, he was injured. I'm pretty sure, Pagniello, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure he was battling an injury for most of this year, but he at times looked terrible. Like, he did not look like the same player from 2 years ago. This is not the same Kemba from Charlotte. I don't think so. But if I'm Kemba Walker, it's pretty exciting at the same time too. I know he wants to win right now, but you're looking at probably the most exciting team in like 2, 3, 4 years. Like, they have all the assets in the world for the future. SGA, I think, is close to being an all-star right now. In terms of the trade, though, I don't know if OKC was smart in getting rid of Moses Brown and Al Horford because like their front court now is almost invisible. So I don't know if they have plans to maybe sign Drummond in the offseason. I don't know if that's a priority because what we saw from Drummond in the playoffs was, oh my God, Marc Gasol like almost. So I don't know what Drummond's value is. Like Pagniello said numerous times, he's proven me right or proven me wrong. Sorry, that he's not a max player, and we've seen it in the postseason. He's definitely not a max player. He had all the opportunities in Detroit and Cleveland. So maybe there's a trend there. Maybe Andre Drummond goes to another mediocre team, puts up monster stats, and we see what we can do next year. But I'll ask this question now to you guys in a reverse type manner. What if you get Drummond, you have Walker, you have SGA? What the hell what's gonna happen there with OKC next year? Are they gonna be like a Washington? Are they gonna be like a Indiana? Or are they just gonna be bad?
Yeah, that's I don't know what they're even looking at. Like management, they have all these assets that they can bring in, but do you go and package them, knowing that SGA is this amazing player, could be a superstar, borderline all star right now. Like, do you go and package that now and knowing that, okay, take advantage of a moment here, you use maybe the Clippers pick in 2 years from now when you know that that's probably when they're going to start declining, and go and get another superstar to go with Kemba Walker and SGA. I think they should. I don't want to go after Drummond. I think go after a trade for another big name player and then use free agency and all the cap room to go after those depth pieces. So I think OKC, this is a right time to take a chance like that.
Kemba Walker is not staying with this team through the fucking duration of next year. There's no way. I think they're trading him at the deadline and they're getting more picks. I just think there's something up their sleeve there. Because when you sent me this trade this morning, I did not believe you. I'm like, you're trolling. This doesn't make any sense. But they got the first round pick. I don't know how they got the first and Kemba. That's pretty fucking sweet. It sounds nice on paper. Him and SGA would be a sweet backcourt. But I think they're going to package that, maybe the first, and I think they're going to continue rebuilding. I don't think Kemba's going to stick there long at all.
I just feel like it depends on how they come out the gate, because we said that about Chris Paul too. Like when he went there, and it's like, yeah, this guy's not even playing a game there, and he played the whole year. So basketball really is unpredictable at times. I don't know. Kemba, I mean, him in Charlotte, he was the one-man show. He was breaking records, getting 59 or whatever it was on Martin Luther King Day and doing all that great stuff. But I guess I'll ask this. I'll start with you, Aulino. What do you envision from Kemba next year? Do you see him being a 23-point per game player? Do you see him maybe dropping all the way back down to 18? What do you see from Kemba Walker if he stays in OKC?
No, I think there's no reason why he can't be that 22-point guy. I think he could be in OKC system. He'll probably get a few more assists off Gilgeous-Alexander, but I think he would be the predominant ball handler and guy who's going to take all the shots. Similar to what Chris Paul was when he was there that 1 year, got his value back up. I think he's going to be that, but he's going to take more of the shots. So maybe Gilgeous-Alexander's point production might go down a little bit. But his overall game will improve. I see Kemba Walker taking advantage, and like Pagniello mentioned, if they don't get a superstar, I see that too. Going and getting a trade for another first-round pick at the draft, or the trade deadline, and then the draft.
If he stays there all year, yeah, man. Like, it's Kemba Walker. He'll probably be up there in points and assists. Him and SGA will lead the way. They'll be really fun to watch if he ends up staying there all year, but man, in that Western Conference, even with those two, it's going to be tough. So I think, yeah, I'm like, I don't think that's really a question. Like, if Kemba Walker's healthy, he's one of the better point guards in the league. So hopefully he can stay healthy and have a year for himself.
Damn.
For sure. Well, speaking of unpredictable, we got the kings of unpredictable. Stanley Cup playoffs, some of these matchups. We'll start off with this one. This series has been truculent. Got Tampa and the Islanders. it's been back and forth, but Tampa now has a 2-1 lead. Do the Islanders, you think, have a chance to come back in this, or do you think Tampa's just going to take over from here and finish it in 5?
Take it, buddy.
No, I think this is going 7. I think what I've seen from New York, it's just nothing really surprises me anymore. And it's getting to that point with hockey, and I never thought I'd say that. Teams like New York, teams like Montreal, continuously just grinding it out. And both of these teams, if you look at it on paper, they're almost laughable, man. Like, they have Barzal, Bailey, Eberle, Pajot. Like, these guys are not supposed to be carrying you to the conference finals. And they're doing it, and they're proving everybody wrong. Like, the fact that guys like Komarov, Martin, all these guys are in the conference finals, it's showing that the Leafs DNA and the skill DNA just does not work in this league, and it never will, because hockey needs truculence. So in terms of Tampa Bay and the Islanders series, I think that's, man, I know it's 2-1, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Islanders won. Like, it's been so close. If it wasn't for Braden Point, they probably would have lost, and they probably would have been down 2-1. Varlamov's been incredible. Even Sorokin backing him up. It's looking pretty good right now in New York, and Pulak's been great. Leddy's been great. Like I was saying to Pagniello, Pajot leads their team in points. So when that happens, that's just a huge treat for the franchise in itself. Barzal has completely made this team a lot more successful than John Tavares ever could. But again, John Tavares did not have the teammates that Barzal does. But I still got Tampa Bay arguably winning the cup here, but like this matchup, it doesn't get any tougher for Tampa Bay.
I'm probably sticking with my Tampa in 6 prediction, but yeah, this Islanders team is feisty. They don't really need, like you were saying, like, we got all the skill in the world, doesn't fucking matter. They play so smart, they play the right way. They just have man, they're going deep in the playoffs every year. Guys like Barzal and Beauvillier, like, this is good exposure for them. So even if they got smacked by Tampa in 5, like, this is a win for the Islanders, like, going forward. So, but I look at Tampa Bay's situation, the way they've been set up for the last few years. Like, Kucherov literally just walked right back onto the team, and he's smoking everyone in playoff scoring like he actually played the year, which he didn't. Guys like Braden Point might win the fucking MVP. Stamkos' role, Hedman, like, this team is just amazing. They're still built for the future, which is scary. So this has been a hard-fought series so far, but I'm going to stick with my Tampa in 6.
Still holding out hope there on the Islanders one. Game 7, Jordan Eberle, golden goal. We'll have to wait and see on that. But it's really back. I think home ice is a big determining factor in this. Like, you look at Tampa, clearly there's no COVID over there. That was just a fad. You look at guys, no mask, just everyone bunched up together there, full stadium. Vegas, same thing. Nothing, didn't exist. Then you go to these other markets like Montreal, where it's going to only have 3,500 fans there when they play Las Vegas. That might change a little bit, like just the momentum of each series, but I'll go Islanders there, still holding out hope that they'll come back. But the next series is, like I mentioned there, Vegas and Montreal. I couldn't get a pick of Montreal here because they were all blurry, but go Vegas here. What do you think on the way they played? And do you think that losing a game to Montreal is a bad look?
Take it, buddy.
No. Montreal has been just as surprising as the Islanders to me. You know what? I'm looking back at it now. They absolutely deserve to beat the Leafs. They outplayed them. They have way more heart than we ever freaking could. So, kudos to guys like Perry, Weber, getting Eric Stahl. I knew would freaking bite us in the ass. And then, of course, Carey Price, man. This guy's probably one of the most well-deserving guys to win a Stanley Cup. So I'm not hopping on any bandwagon. I'm a freaking Leaf fan. But, like, if Carey Price were to go to the finals, like, good for him, man. Like, I love Carey Price. But in terms of Vegas, losing a game, I don't think it's a surprise. I think Carey Price can steal you any game. So It doesn't get any better in terms of goalie matchup. You have Fleury and Price. It's just absolutely amazing. It's must watch. But I mentioned Alex Tuck time and time again. Man, this guy is a playoff performer. He puts them over the top. And William Karlsson, again, leading them in points in the playoffs. He's proven to be probably their best center on the team. And when he gels with the beautiful thing with William Karlsson is he gels with almost every winger that they've put on. They even had Chandler Stevenson at one point on the top line with him and Stone. So whatever William Karlsson's doing, it's working. It seems like he gets along with everybody in the dressing room, on the ice. The chemistry is there. I got Vegas winning this in 6 games. I got Carey Price giving them another win. Toffoli as well he's been a problem. Josh Anderson is actually taking quite a step back, but that's probably expected. But I love Cole Caulfield, man. Damn it. They have a star in him. I think he's going to be absolutely incredible. I think he already has 6 points this postseason. I got Vegas and Tampa in the finals, obviously. I think a lot of people do because you just can't see the Islanders in Montreal. I just can't. But if one of those teams were to go to the finals, I think that alone is probably the story of the year for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you look at these two teams, it's kind of similar to the other series. I just feel like Vegas has more. Even though everything Montreal did, you can't really count them out. You got to give them credit for what they did. Of course, they deserve to beat the Leafs. They fucking smashed the Jets. And, yeah, if you have Carey Price, you're getting at least a win. So let's go back to the original question. I don't think it looks bad on Vegas. But, yeah, I'm sticking Vegas in 6.
Yeah, same. I got Vegas winning it. I just think they're a more complete team. And the only thing I want to see Max Pacioretty show up a little more. This is his old team. They traded him. They decided to go their separate ways. Kind of feel bad for Weber. Like, just imagine if he got a chance to play with a guy like Pietrangelo or Shea Theodore. But I just think, yeah, Montreal in that aspect is a little bit overmatched. I don't think they can match that complete team. But yeah, Vegas 6 games. I think that's an accomplishment. Montreal can push it to 7, but that's going to be a hard thing to do, just all the depth they have. And I'm going to go Vegas Islanders in the final. That would be a nice story.
I mean, another question, too, I want to kind of ask you guys is where does Montreal kind of go from here? Because, like, this year, I didn't think they were a playoff team, and now all of a sudden they have all this exposure in the postseason. The fan base is definitely going to their expectations are probably going to be high for next year. I don't know if they're going to be a huge playoff success story next year, but if you're Montreal and you're Bergevin, do you really see a big free agent guy going there like a Taylor Hall, or do you think they kind of go with maybe more of another role player to add to the depth of this team?
I mean, they could add another big name guy. I don't know who's going to walk there, but if you're an outsider looking into this situation, it's a good team. It is appealing. You still have you have a couple of Hall of Famers on this team, and Shea Weber and Carey Price, and a lot of good pieces around it. So I don't think they're going to be amazing, but they'll be competitive. And when guys like Suzuki and Caulfield and Kotkaniemi just keep continuing to build around those guys, and yeah, I think the Habs are in a good spot, but I don't think anyone sees them as contenders. So I think they're in the middle there somewhere.
Yeah, I think you should try to go after Taylor Hall. Just book a meeting. I wouldn't sign him, but just to show that to other free agents that you're looking to be aggressive and add to your team. But yeah, try to get more depth pieces on defense and maybe a trade here or there, small scale moves. Don't go after Ovechkin and offer him $13 million for 7 years. I don't think he would fit into this team, even though he says Montreal would be an appealing place. Yeah, with Weber, Price, Perry, Stahl, you got enough veterans there. Go after some young depth players that fit your style of play, and I think they'll be fine. But I don't think they're going to be contenders next year.
I was going to say, Aulino, why don't they go after your boy, Evgeny Malkin?
Oh, man. Imagine.
I love when those questions get asked, on TSN. It's yeah, who's more likely to move, Malkin or Crosby? And it's well, none of them, because that's a dumb question. Even Ovechkin being a UFA, I can't even fathom him going to any other team. So I'll just say he re-signs with Washington on like a 2-year, $8 million per, and that's it. And he just keeps rolling. But if you're a manager and you're looking at guys like Ovi, like, okay, you're looking at all the greats. So you're looking at the Crosbys, the Malkins, the Kane, because you even said Kane has been rumored to move. Out of all those guys, if you're a manager, which one are you going after? Because there's so many teams that have different game plans, different positions that are lacking talent. So if you are a manager out there and all these veterans are slowly going on that trade deadline market, which one are you taking?
Ooh, that's risky. Because these managers also have to realize Seattle's out there now, and they got a lot of cap space. They can really screw everybody over. They can go to Alex Ovechkin, get in his ear, because technically he's a UFA right now, and they can say, you know what? We're thinking of doing this. We'll pay you the max to come here for 2 years, and you can be the first captain in Seattle's history and be a part of this expansion. Give him some perks and ownership when he's done. Like, Seattle's going to throw a wrench in a lot of teams' plans, and I think they'll be more than what Vegas did because they saw what Vegas were able to do, and I think they're in a position where they can be competitive right at the start. So they're going to be a problem in their first year.
You got it right there. Ovechkin to Seattle.
Or Ovechkin, imagine he sees for his ego. Imagine being the guy to bring the Leafs a cup. And with rumors of Hyman leaving and Anderson and everyone out of the lineup, there's some money freed up. Ovi, Matthews, Marner, first line.
Aulino, I don't think I've ever been more surprised when the biggest surprise for me was when we signed JT to $11 million in free agency. But like if Ovi were to come here, I think that tops it. Like I don't know what I would do. I think I would just be hysterical for like weeks. Like I would just be I'd look in my closet, I'd see my Ovi Washington jersey, and I would just start laughing. Because like seeing him in a Leaf jersey, it would just continue the trend from decades before when we got Leach, we got Lindros, we got McGillney, we got all these veterans past their prime. So why don't we go get Ovi? Let's just do it. Same old recipe. Let's go do it. We got Thornton. We had Spezza. Like we had Plekanec. Let's just go get guys that we never thought would be Leafs. Let's just go do it.
Yeah, but for real though, like I think Ovi, like Washington or like Seattle's gonna have to throw a big like kind of deal to really convince them. But yeah, he's staying in Washington.
Well, because I even heard for the longest time that Kuzi has been in trade rumors too, and like you would assume that it would be Backstrom moving, but he's just been consistently Mr. Consistent, man. That should be his nickname. He's been putting up 70 or more in like 15 of his 16, or I don't know how long he's been playing. So what, like 14 years, like 12 of his 14 years, he's been almost a point a game. So I guess I'll start with Pagniello, unless you want to continue with the free agency talk. What do you think is going to happen with Kuznetsov if he moves?
If he moves, where would he go, you're saying?
Yeah, like, and what could he do? What do you think his max ceiling is on a new team?
He's probably a number one center on quite a few teams in this league. I feel like if Washington were to lose him, they're kind of in a predicament. Like I know Backstrom's Mr. Consistent and he gets on average 70 most years, but he is, what was that draft? 34 years old. Him and Ovi, they are up there. They're not going to go on forever. Even if he is still producing more than Kuzi now, like you still may need to look towards the future. And I think I'd probably take Kuznetsov over Backstrom at this point. Because like if you lose him and then you don't have someone else backing him up, you're kind of fucked there. So if I'm Washington, I'm trying to re-sign him. But if I'm anyone else, like I would probably break bank for Kuznetsov. He can go number one, number two center. It doesn't matter. I think he would fit in most team systems.
Oh no, I don't think he's a free agent. I think he's just like he's been in trade rumors. Like they want to trade him.
Oh yeah, fuck that. Sure. I'm not trading him. What do you if you trade him? Like, is it a package deal? Are you gonna package him with a first and something else to get someone better? Like, because Kuzi's already a solid fucking center.
Well, for me, the rumor that I saw was you're trading Kuznetsov for a first and Fiala. That's what I saw.
Man,
That's at
hang
least
up the
where
phone.
it starts.
I'm not.
So I don't know if you have to add Greenway or you add someone else, maybe Dumba in that. I don't know, but there have been talks with Minnesota.
I don't like that for them.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
That's not a good one.
Take it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't know. It's not like Fiala and a first. Like, is this first gonna really help you now? Like, that's not really too good long term. Like, if anything, I would go maybe Dallas. They have a lot of young pieces there. Maybe get one or two of them. Calgary, like if you want to do a big package, maybe Johnny Gaudreau. He's been a guy that's been talked about. You both of them change scenery. Gaudreau, Kuznetsov, you bring a package each side that works best. Or maybe you just send them to another team in the West, because I don't think an Eastern Conference team's going to really be an appealing option for Washington, because then they would always have to play against them.
I mean, like for me, the biggest question moving forward with this team is like how much more does this team believe in this core with Backstrom, Oshie? Because Kuzi is probably the youngest out of all of them in terms of he's elite still. He's putting up those elite numbers. You have a guy like Tom Wilson, who's a great gritty guy. You have a guy like, I mean, they traded Vrana, but now you have Mantha, who's an absolute power forward. So I know they have a couple guys in the system that could potentially make the roster next year, like Connor McMichael's there. He was a great junior player. But like you look at their defense, like you have John Carlson. I think now he's 31. So I don't know, Pagniello. It looks like this team. It looks like they're kind of going through like they're going through growing pains. Like they're a team that they've been there for so long, and it looks like they want to kind of start moving on. But it looks like they're trying to move on with the wrong pieces. They're trying to get rid of Kuznetsov to get as much value back as they can because they're probably afraid of getting rid of Backstrom. So again, this is another tough team to even look at when you look at trade value because they have Samsonov and they also have Vanacek now, and they have two good goaltenders. So if you're Minnesota, maybe you add one of those goalies in there, and maybe then that's when the deal goes through.
Risky right there. Too risky. But yeah, like I don't know, it's a tough one because Mantha I think helps a lot of things because you have Mantha as a top 6 forward, power forward who can get point per game, I think, with Ovi. So that helps things. If you want to make Kuznetsov available, it helps move things along easily because you got someone to fall back on. But if you're just going to get Fiala, that's horrible.
Like it really depends on if they feel like they want to rebuild and just get rid of everyone. That's the direction they want to go in. Like I guess because Fiala is younger and they get the first, but yeah, the value to me is just like not there. But what do you think about Kuznetsov on Montreal?
It's something that I could see, but I don't know what the return would be. Like you said, the value of Kuzi is a mystery. I mean, at times he's like an 85-point player, and at times it looks like he's like a 65-point player. So I'll say his value, it's higher than Backstrom's, but not by a lot. And I think he's like 5 years younger than him. So like if you're Montreal, why not? Suzuki, he can be the second fiddle for a couple years. But in that point, man, like, do you get rid of Kotkaniemi? Do you get rid of – because, Washington's going to ask for someone back. Really, really important. Like, is it going to be a Paling? Is it going to be a who's that other guy they got? Not Caulfield. It was the draft before that. I don't know his name. I forgot it.
Is it Paling?
No, Paling I think was 16 or no, it is. No, it's Paling. Yeah, didn't he get 4 goals in his debut? I'm pretty sure it's that guy. Oh yeah, it was against us, so it doesn't count. That doesn't count. I don't know, Pagniello. Why don't you try and give us a little trade preview. Like, I don't know what that would be. Kuznetsov for what? Kotkaniemi, Armia, and like 2 firsts. Like, I don't know.
I'm just trying to go through teams that like could really use at least a number 1 or 1A or 1B center. And Montreal's fit the bill for fucking 10 years now. If I'm them, I'm not giving up Suzuki or Caulfield, so it would probably be centered around Kotkaniemi, a first, and like something else. Yeah.
How about this? Guys? Kuzi for Nugent Hopkins. You doing that?
Oh no, hang up the phone.
Unless they do with McDavid, that's jokes.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't do it. Like I'm not helping Edmonton. Let them. That's what they wanted to do with their salary cap. All that room they had, they wanted to give all those contracts. I'd let them stay with all of them, not helping them win a cup.
Yeah,
brutal.
San Jose, maybe? Could that be Erik Karlsson?
Yeah, they're parting ways, I think, with half their team in like a year.
Yeah, they got Vlasic,
they're a
Burns.
team you look at, it's like, God, you guys are just nothing. Like, I love Couture. I love Couture, man, but like his time is probably up in San Jose. I want to say the only guy that's proved like that actually surprised me was Evander Kane this year for that team. He had an absolutely tremendous year. Hurdle at times looked great too, but even if I'm San Jose, I might even try and trade Hurdle at this point. He's had a lot of injury problems. They're not really a playoff team. If you can get a lot of value for a guy on that team, it's probably either Meyer or Hurdle the most. So if I'm San Jose, I'm going to make this prediction. I'll say in like a year and a half, maybe even as soon as next trade deadline, they're going to have a completely different team.
It's a shame because like those are good young forwards, and Kane's in the prime of his career. Like Meyer and Hurdle kind of coming up together, but there's just not much around them, and they're in the West, and Anaheim and LA are progressively getting much better than San Jose over the last couple of years. Their defense, oh my God, their Burns and Karlsson are aging so much faster than usual. I feel so bad for Karlsson. He signed for fucking 50 years there, and just like that, the team's rebuilding. Like the next year, he has that one playoff run, and then okay, we're done. Fuck that. So,
even Vlasic, poor guy. He was so good.
Oh man, I don't know. That team is. I think they're on the verge of becoming one of the worst teams in the next 5 years. Like worse than it is now.
Yeah, and that's why I think guys like Hurdle and Meyer are gonna like either want out or get dealt some way or another. Logan Couture, again, I kind of view him like Landeskog in a way when you look at the role he has on the team. I know Landeskog, like he's staying. It doesn't matter. He's a UFA, but they're definitely signing him. You have to. I guess we'll close this pod. I guess we'll talk a little bit about the Colorado Avalanche because, man, like, you know, they got eliminated. They lost 4 in a row to Vegas, a really good team. McKinnon, you could tell, was absolutely furious with the result because he actually, I saw the stats. I put it on my story. Pagniello put it in our group chat that he's, I think, 4th all time in the first 50 games of his postseason career in points. I think he has 69 and 50. He's just absolutely ridiculous. I guess I'll start this with Pagniello. What does Colorado have to address in the offseason for them to go on a Stanley Cup run and win it?
Not much, man. I think they just got to stick the course and continue to add little pieces throughout the way because they got a few big pieces in McKinnon and Rantanen, and yeah, they're going to sign Landeskog and Makar for the long run. So they're still a really young team. Like this team, they're all in their early to mid 20s. They're all signed. They're all so young. They're all so talented. Like we look at the Leafs, we can't even get past the first fucking round. And we look at Colorado and they lost in the second round, and it's like the fucking world stopped because of how good they were. And Colorado still went halfway. They're still miles away. So like that tells you how hard it is to win the Stanley Cup. And Colorado dominated the whole year in Vegas, just like, yeah, fuck that. Reverse sweep, get out of here. So I don't think they have to do anything. They got McKinnon, they got Rantanen, they got the big pieces. Nas is still there. He's still young. They got a solid team. They got the solid goaltender now. So, yeah, fucking Avs, man.
Yeah, I think they need to make just take advantage of their roster being young, like you said, and being so committed to this system and everything clicking with them. Just the way they've all been playing and developing, I think they need to take advantage of it. They have some salary cap room. Go after Seth Jones if you can get him. You probably could get him cheaper just because it gets known that he wants out of Columbus and he has a year left and he's going to test free agency. So I would go after Seth Jones and another guy, Phil Kessel. I would go after in Arizona. He's cap hit thanks to the Leafs. Is only $6.8 million. That can easily fit into Colorado. So I wouldn't go after Taylor Hall just because he would probably demand more. But Kessel, Jones, if you can work out some trades that would help both teams, I think that would be something that puts them over the hump.
I absolutely love the position they're in, but the only problem is Makar, Landeskog, and Grubauer are all not signed. So I guess I'll start with you, Pagniello. I know you're a huge Cale Makar stan. We basically all are. He's probably going to be a multi-time Norris winner. If you're Colorado, are you going with the bridge deal right now because the cap is low, or are you just hitting the home run here and you're signing him an 8-year deal?
Oh, man. Shit. If I'm them, you probably go 8-year deal, but Makar's probably going to request a bridge because he's just that good. So if I'm Cale Makar, I'm probably looking at like a 3-year deal and then like seriously cash out after. But to Aulino's point before, like Sam Girard last year, he could have made so much more money. He signed through 7 years. He's only making like not even $4 million. If he really wanted to, he could have been a guy that could have been like, hey, I'm scoring more points than half the fucking league. I deserve $6.5 million. So, yeah, maybe someone could walk there and they could take advantage of their money. But, yeah, Colorado's just in a solid situation there.
Yeah, I think he's going to take the bridge deal, and like Sam Girard, I think would be the odd one out. Like if you were to trade for Jones, I think it would be Sam Girard involved. And if you can't get Jones, and if you want to go after Kessel to play on a wing with McKinnon or Kadri, it would probably cost a lot less, just because you can use their ownership and money as a way to part ways with Phil. But I think Girard you might be able to keep in that sense, but maybe do away with a draft pick. So bridge deal for Makar makes sense. Just don't know. Like Landeskog is a big part of this team. He's been there so long. You might have to pay more for him, but I think it would be worth it. Like I don't think it's going to be something that makes them like the Leafs, where everyone's making 11 mil. I think they can get him down to a reasonable number, and he sees the growth of guys around him like McKinnon and Makar, and he knows that they're committed. So I think he would take a little bit less, but it's not going to be like a $5 million deal.
I don't know. Like I see so much potential for Makar in terms of this, like his salary. Like it can be as little as 2 years, like 12 million, or it could be 8 years at 8.5 per. So it really depends on what they really want to do, because they know the cap is going to go up in about a year and a half, 2 years. I actually like Pagniello that you brought up the Girard contract, because the guy had 43 points this year. He just looked like he was just, his role was awesome. What was he? Second line power play for majority of the year, at times first if McKinnon was hurt. I just love this team, man. I love exactly what even a guy like Nathan McKinnon has been able to do. Take that pay cut, really help out your team. I assume Landeskog's going to do the same. I don't expect him to sign more than $6 million. Grubauer probably going to get a bridge deal as well, because he did prove to be a great starter, but do that 2 years and then you maybe cash out. So I'll give maybe Grubauer a 2-3 year deal, a bridge, maybe 3.54 mil per year. Goalies, it's a little bit trickier, because we've seen guys like Leonard be amazing and then not. Binnington be amazing, then not. Bishop be amazing, then not. So we've seen, and even guys like Jake Allen, they had those 2 great years in St. Louis and then just fell off the face of the earth. So with goalies, it's a lot trickier, but in terms of a guy like a Cale Makar that can give you so much stability for 10 plus years, I think I'm doing the opposite. I think I'm cashing him out, man. I think I'm doing it right now. Because he's already like he's already a Norris Trophy finalist. So I think I'm just doing that. I'm cashing him out now.
I respect it. I think what did Line get? 2 years, 10 mil, something like that.
Yeah, like out of all the free agents, I think he got one of the better deals. But that's because again, you look at the agent, you look at the morale that Line A's gonna have going to a fresh team. It's a lot harder, and that's another name that we got to watch this offseason because we all know he's probably not staying in Columbus. But I guess we'll finish this pod by I'll ask a simple question: in 2 years, who is going to be in worse shape? The San Jose Sharks that we've discussed before, or the Columbus Blue Jackets? I'll start with you, Pagniello.
Oof, I'll say the San Jose Sharks will be in worse shape.
Nice.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Yeah, I'm going to go San Jose just because I think Columbus is going to re-sign Laine, put him in a position where like the GM, he is good at what he does. Like he's not a train wreck and just a disaster, kind of like what other GMs have been. But I think he's going to bring stability back there to the Blue Jackets. I think he'll find a way to keep Laine and build a team around again because I think Columbus is, even though aside from losing Torts and losing Panarin and Bobrovsky, I think they still were able to be competitive, and I think they'll continue that.
Absolutely love it. I'll actually go with San Jose too, just based off of the age. You see guys like Carlson, Burns continuously regress in their game, Vlasic as well. Like you just look at the back end and it's just shot. And you think after getting Carlson and Burns, you're going to win a Stanley Cup. They go to the finals, and that was even before Carlson, and they came up short against Sidney Crosby. This team, yeah, like you said, Pagniello, you brought up Anaheim and LA. Like they get Byfield, they get Zegras, they get a lot of different guys, and all of a sudden, bam, they're almost a bubble team this year. Kopitar is still trucking it out. Quick is, of course, probably on his way of retiring in maybe 2 years. Dustin Brown continues to defy age. So, I'll stick with San Jose. I think they're going to be probably one of the worst teams in 2 years as well, just based off of the age. But close it out, Aulino.
Well, yeah, that was fun. Got some big games lined up now. Game 7s, Game 6s, crucial. And yeah, Leafs, at least they signed Jason Spezza. So that's good. Every other team is looking now. They got to convince their UFAs to sign, and the Leafs got business done early. Spezza signed. Now it's going to be interesting. Next week we'll probably know more about Hyman's situation. But yeah, that's episode 135. And catch us next week.